self-awareness is huge, right? And especially to be able to talk about conflict, because we know that it's not if, it's when it happens at camp. So I think that's an important, for all of us to prepare in any interview, to be able to speak candidly about a time when you were in high emotion. And kind of debrief that shows that you are really thinking through your own thought process. And that shows me a very conscientious staff member.
Yeah. And I love also people that take a moment that, sometimes we want to fill the dead air in the interview. And I love it when somebody says, okay, and they just sit there in silence for a bit. And I know it might feel like it's like 3 minutes or 5 minutes, and it's actually only 2.5 seconds. But taking that time to pause and reflect also shows me that you're really taking that question seriously. So I also really love that when people are taking their time to answer a question.
I was just saying, I would plus one that when you take that pause, like it feels uncomfortable, but it's really, really like, it shows that you care. It shows that you're willing to take the time. It's brave to take a pause. So for people listening in the interviewing, who will be interviewing, absolutely take the time, pause, don't feel uncomfortable, like boldly take it and boldly answer when you're ready.
Yeah, take that second to pause, but don't then answer with like a 2-second one-word answer, because then I would be really wondering what you were thinking about for that 10 seconds, Oh, all right. Okay. But I love, Gabs, you opened this up with the tell me about a time. And I think, we've been talking a lot about when you as an interviewee are answering, to be specific. A really fantastic way to be specific is just tell the story. Tell the story of whatever that experience is. I want to hear this beginning, middle, and end with a rising action, a conflict, a resolution. Paint me this beautiful picture. If you're a storyteller, especially, I'm going to hire you right away, because I know that you will be able to walk on a trail for 4 hours with kids and just speak. Just keep them entertained through the language that can come out of your mouth. It's a beautiful talent to have. And if I get encapsulated by an interviewee who's able to do that, please take advantage of storytelling. We talk about it in marketing all the time. Tell your story, use it as a way to market yourself during an interview. But my questions, the things I love to ask. I've started trying to switch up a little bit fun with my interview questions. One question I love to ask, and I know a lot of camp people probably talked about it. I've definitely posted it on Summer Camp Professionals whenever people are asking for interview questions, but I say, teach me something, because I love the idea of being able to see them teach something to me and see what that process is like for them, because they're going to be doing that exercise all summer with their kids, right? So now I can see them teach me something. And I've been taught so many cool things through this, because I honestly say, I don't care what you teach me, anything you feel comfortable about. It could be literally what you just learned in your class, like a history class that day, and they will teach me about how World War II started. And I get to hear them talk about that. I've had people grab pieces of paper and teach me origami. But the heart of this is, the answer is that you are showing me what you are able to do. So many camp people talk about, I would love to get people out for like a group interview, and we do like team building, and I get to see how they interact in a group. And that's so hard to do if you're doing a lot of interviews over Zoom, or it's like a one-on-one interview. So if I ask someone to teach me something new, even in front of a computer screen like this, they can teach me how to sing a song. They can teach me the basics of a haiku, whatever comes to their brain at that moment. But I want to see how they can break down that information to make it explainable to a child. Maybe I want them to be able to do it without saying right? Are they clearly spoken? So that is one of my favorite questions to ask, because I actually get to see them counseling in live action. And then the fun one I started asking this year because I've gotten laughs every single time I ask it. I say, if you were wearing a warning label on your forehead when people first met you, what would your warning label say to best prepare them for working with you? And I love this, and I'm keeping it at every single person I ask the question to. I'm keeping their answers. And then I think during staff training, we're going to have like a lunch where everyone comes in, and I'll have all their warning labels ready, and they kind of wear it on their forehead at the meal, so everyone can see each other's warning labels. It's just a fun little camp lunch during staff training. But I like that question because it is back to the thing that Tiffany was talking about before, was what's your greatest weakness? What's your greatest strength, right? And I think this question throws them off a little bit, but I get great answers from it too. Like, I get things like, I oversleep sometimes, but if people know this about me, I'm willing to admit it and communicate it. It means that they are proving they're self-aware and that they can work on changing this or letting others know, hey, this is where I need help. So I really enjoy what's your warning label question. But those are my favorite questions I'm asking right now during this interview season. For anybody who's going to be coming to a Camp Winona interview this time soon, just prepare for those.
Ooh, I love it. What a cool way of also talking honestly about yourself too. And I think that shows a lot about the culture of what it's probably like to work at Camp Winona, is that, we want all of you at this camp. We want the you that is great playing with kids, and we want the you that sometimes oversleeps, but we're all here to be a community and work together on that. So I think that's kind of a really cool, like radically candid way of doing it. And the follow-up exercise is really cool, Oliver. My favorite one to ask is a very practical one. And I often will tell people I'm going to ask this one in advance. I say, if you could pick the number of kids and their age that you have, and you have an hour or less with them, what would you do that would be fun, memorable, or even change their lives? And I love it because that is what we do at camp. And sometimes if I had someone actually reach out and ask like a little bit more about the context, they said, am I inside? Am I outside? And I was like, oh, you are really thinking about this. And that's great. And often what I reply to that is, you pick. But also knowing that camp, we have to program in the middle of a rainstorm, and sometimes you're stuck in your cabin room for an hour. So what are you going to do in that situation? And any kind of game or any kind of program that they come up with, they are getting a head start on creating camp programs in that moment. And that is a great way for someone to tell me about that they love. Someone told me they love Magic the Gathering, and that is what they would do. They would teach a group of kids how to play, and they would run a mini tournament in their cabin room, and during a rainy day, that's something they could totally do. And then they did it that summer, and it was incredible. So it really gives me a direct insight into the programming ability of a staff member, because we know that whether you are a camp counselor or you are a programmer or whatever it looks like, you need to be prepared with what we call back pocket games, right? Those things you can just pull out, whether it's rock, paper, scissors, baseball, whether it's a bunch of them that we've talked about on the podcast in past episodes. Being ready to program at a moment's notice is great. So I love just the diversity of answers that I get, and it shows me people that are actually putting time and intention. Because if you just say, oh, I play cards, be specific. Come on, think about the job, think about it a little bit. And it's again, a chance for you to sell your skills in that way. Okay. We're going to wrap it up. This has been really great so far, but I want to kind of break is it a third wall in podcasting too? I don't know, but if I want to break that wall, and I want us to speak directly to someone who is going into a camp interview that they might be a little bit nervous about, or they're feeling a little anxious about. What is one thing, and I'm springing this on the guest, we didn't plan this. This is just, we're going to make it work. What would you say to them to help them prepare and feel great about coming either to your camp or to rock their next camp interview? What would you say to them? And if we need a second to think, we've already covered that. That's okay. So Gabs, Tiff, whoever wants to jump in, and we can let it rest for a second.
So I'm deep, right? Like I get deep and philosophic all the time. So there's a quote, and like one of those videos, and Oprah's talking about how she walks into rooms and it's full of white men and it's just her. And so she's just like, and I love it. And so everybody in the audience is looking like, what? And she's like, and I love it. And she's like, because I know when I walk in, I don't just stand as myself. I stand as myself, and the 10,000 ancestors stand beside me. And so I guess I would just say, know that when you're walking into the interview, you're not just walking in alone. You're walking in with the way that every other camp counselor before you probably felt. You're walking in as your inner child and whatever mentor you have had. You're walking in with a wealth of experience. And so take your power back. Like none of us besides Oliver is very scary. Like don't say in his interviews. No, I'm just teasing. He's like, don't say I'm like, I better not say on this podcast. I'm gonna get in trouble. But no, legit, we're like, camp is all about fun and bringing your most authentic self. And just know that, you know, most times your life has already prepared you for these moments. So own your power. Know that you're walking in with the power of thousands of people who've gone before you, and just do it.
I got teary-eyed. That's so beautiful, Tiff. Yes, I'll piggyback a little bit off of what Tiff was saying. I just want to say I feel so honored to be on this podcast because I'm speaking to young camp professionals, and I can't tell you that, you know, we work all year for you to arrive at camp. And we're so excited that you're excited about our organization and doing this job. And we want you to succeed. We want you to have challenges, but come out on the other side of it. And so know that the people that are sitting in that chair are excited to see what you're capable of doing. And if you're not vibing with that person, if you're not clicking with that person, maybe that's not the organization for you. You also, as Tiff was saying, you take that power back. This might not be the place for you. There is a camp for you that's going to see you, get you, and be able to support you. So just know that to find that right camp director that's excited that you're there and wanting to work with you, and that genuinely most of us are very, very happy to be meeting the staff, because this is what we work towards, the entire year for those of us that are just running in the summer.
Yeah, you got me teary-eyed now. What's I didn't expect this to happen. Oh, wonderful. Oliver, do you want to share your words of wisdom?
Yeah, I definitely can. You can't say just to be specific. You can 100% and ums are acceptable. Just don't overweight them. It's fine. You got to think sometimes, trying to fill in that void. I think for me, come prepared, right? That's what if you're listening to the podcast, that's what you know you have to do. But with that preparation, that means look into the organization you're going to, visit their website, go and see what they do. It might be even the camp you're returning to after summers. The understanding that you're going to start thinking about now as a future counselor is you're not going to be experiencing the magic that people are giving to you. You're going to be giving the magic to people. And you as an applicant counselor have to understand the change in what is going to be happening when you take on that role. So do the research in that organization, understand what they're going to ask of you in order to make that magic happen, and think to yourself, all right, is this what is right for me? And am I going to be able to do what's being asked of me? And you can do that as you are preparing to get into this interview and thinking about what your answers are going to be. And really, we spoke about it so early in the episode. What's your why? What's your passion for applying for this job in the first place? And knowing that as you're getting ready for this interview. And it will make your life so much easier when you get onto that call or you get in there in person and you're all spoofed up and ready to go.
I think that preparation is important, Oliver. And I think, how bad do you want this job? How bad are you like yearning for this camp position? And there'll be a job that comes along, whether it's this camp job or another one that you're really going to want. And this is practice for that future moment. You will probably interview for more camp jobs in the future, and maybe whether that's for a camp director job or a hedge fund manager or an astronaut or a botanist, any of those things, this is practice for that moment. And one thing that I think has come that true with the four of us speaking and almost every other camp director, they want to see you succeed and they want to see you learn from this experience as well. So, no matter how bad you want it, take the pressure off of yourself just a little bit and remember that this is practice. This is practice, and that's why you come to camp. You practice to build those skills. You're not going to get it right 100% of the time. And if you do, Please tell me how you did that. I would love to know how you aced it on your first try. And I think being humble about when you do make those mistakes and taking time to pause and realize that, you know, camp is also going to be a beautifully imperfect thing as well. And you are joining a beautifully imperfect place with people who have beautifully imperfect reactions to things, and where the campers we serve are beautifully imperfect. And knowing that you get to be a part of that is something to be excited for. So take the pressure down a little bit on yourself. Couple deep breaths, couple seconds to pause will go a really long way in this process. And the four of us are wishing you all the success. The camp world needs people like you. They need people who are there to love and take care of kids, and those kids need you, right? We've been on Zoom for far too long. I wish that we could record these podcasts in person, but these kids have been on Zoom, online school, offline school, wearing masks. It's been a tough couple of years for kids, and you get to be the rock star for these kids. So go and be that rock star, please. If you need any support along the way, you know that you can reach out to Oliver and I anytime. Our contacts will be in the show notes, but I just wanted to give the floor once more to Gabs and Tiff, just to share how people can get in touch, or maybe if they're interested in working with the two of you, how they can get in touch with you. So Gabs, why don't you start us off?
So you can contact me at info@ouareau.com. Ouareau is spelled OUAREAU.com. And you can follow me on Instagram at Gabrielle Raill, and Raill takes 2 L's.
Thank you so much for coming, Gabs.
Thanks. It was a pleasure.
Tiff, how about you?
Hey, so I am Tiffany. You can find me at tiffany@sheplays.co. So there's no M. Tiffany@sheplays.co, and I'm that same way on all the socials, just sheplays.co.
Amazing. Tiff, thank you for being here. Folks, please make sure you listen. Check out the Day Camp podcast if you want that insider perspective on what day camp directors are talking about. Camp Code will give you the inside scoop on what staff training is going to be like for you this summer. As you know, you can reach out, find me and all the other Go Camp Pro podcasts at gocamp.pro/podcasts.
Yeah, if you enjoyed today's show, please don't forget, we'd be so grateful if you left us a review wherever you are listening to this podcast. Your ratings and reviews not only tell us what you like or don't like about the show, but it helps us boost our rankings and helps more people find this pivotal information. And with that being said, thanks for listening, friends. And remember, camp is camp and camp's all good.